If you've been into any sort of hardware or home improvement store, you've seen Wilson's Mouse Out. Today we're going to jump in and talk about what it is, how it works, and some of the shortfalls that you can experience if you're using this product. So today we're talking about the Wilson Mouse Out. They sell it at a lot of different hardware and home improvement stores, and has the claim that it gets rid of rats and mice within days, and it will even kill rats and mice that are resistant to other rodenticides. Comes in this box, and inside of this box, it comes with 15 bags of 60 grams of their pellets. What you need to do is get bait stations in order to put the pellets in to keep them secure. So on top of purchasing this, you should have bait stations to make sure that this stays secure. Cut the package open, put the bait into the bait station, and place them in the areas where you're noticing either rat or mouse activity. Those can be spots where there's entry points, where you see droppings, or they've damaged food and you've seen some chewing. Very straightforward use, very safe, and you just put it out and they claim that it takes care of them. So let's jump into on how the Mouse Out actually works. So first, you always want to check with anything you use what the active ingredient is. And this one here is registered, but the active ingredient is cellulose from powdered corn cobs. So there is no actual rodenticide in there that is an anticoagulant or a neurotoxin that will have any effect on the rats or mice. The way this is claimed to work is when they feed off of it, it just dehydrates them over time and essentially mummifies them to eliminate any sort of odors. When you go to the backside, this is where you really have to pay attention, and this is what makes using this quite challenging if you're looking to get control. So the first thing it says is mice must feed exclusively on this product for a minimum of 3 days for death to occur. Rats must feed exclusively for a minimum of 8 days for death to occur. And what they're saying is they need to get enough of this cellulose into their system to really start to dehydrate them in order for it to work. The next direction of use is that you can only use it indoors, and essentially you need to have it in bait stations, and every food and water source needs to be eliminated in order for them to only feed off of this product for the allowed period of time. So let's dive right in and go over the pros and cons, and we'll give you a general idea of if we think this product is good or not to use. So let's start with the pros. Ease of use. It comes in a box, everything's pre-measured for you. You basically cut it open, put it into a bait station and place it where you see activity. Very easy to use. Second thing is there is no actual chemical. It is just the starch from the corn stalks that's dehydrating them, so very safe. And third is accessibility. If you're looking to get something quick, you can go out to almost any hardware or home improvement store, go to the pest control section, and they will have this. So let's jump into the cons. One of the biggest challenges that you run into when dealing with rodent infestations is palatability. Rodents can be picky, they like what they like, and they sometimes need a variety of different baits to choose from so they'll actually feed off of it. When you're only using one, if they decide that they don't like the scent, the taste, the look, anything like that, even the fact that it's in pellet form, not a soft or a block form, they may just not go for it. And because this is the only setup that you can get from them, that's a challenge. If they don't go for it, you're kind of in trouble. The second thing is the control of the environment. Again, looking at the back of the box, mice have to exclusively feed on this product for 3 days, and rats have to feed exclusively off this product for 8 days for death to occur. The reason that rats and mice are in certain areas generally is because there's a food source. So you're generally going to have really good bait competition. So even if you have them feeding off of it, you cannot guarantee that they're not eating, feeding, or drinking somewhere else, and that will just completely derail the effectiveness of this product. So you need to be extremely certain that there is nothing else that they can get access to, which is very challenging to do because mice and rats get into tight little areas. They go to spots that people can't get to. So good luck really trying to set up a spot like that. And of course, effectiveness is a big challenge. To actually ensure these are feeding exclusively off of this is hard, and Is it really going to work? Are they eating enough of it? Are they eating consistently enough? Are the same mice going around? Very challenging. So overall, I think this product could be well suited for someone who is really looking for a non-rodenticide alternative while using the style of rodenticide where it's kind of set it and forget it and follow up and check it to not have to worry about getting dead mice out of traps. But within a couple of weeks, if you're not getting feeding and you're not seeing that the population is dropping, I think the effectiveness of this product is pretty low. The other thing with it is you may run into a challenge if they start feeding off it a lot, you start adding more and more and more, but if they're feeding off of different food, you've then spent a bunch of money essentially feeding them a product that isn't going to kill them. So the price can add up pretty quick. The other thing that you need to consider is that on top of this, you need to purchase bait stations to keep the product secure when you're placing them in the areas. So let's go over Wilson's Mouse Out. We'll do a quick recap of what we talked about today. We talked about where you purchase it, what it looks like, how you put the bait into bait stations, place it in areas where rodents feed. The way that it works is a non-rodenticide or chemical style. It is simply cellulose from corn stalks that dehydrates rats and mice over time. Ease of use is great, accessibility in getting it is great, but there are a number of challenges. The biggest challenge is controlling the environment so that they are exclusively feeding off this. Mice need 3 days of only feeding off of this, whereas rats need 8 days of feeding off of this. Overall, I would say the effectiveness of this is fairly low, but it's a very safe alternative for areas where you may not be allowed to or not want to use any sort of rodenticide or chemical product. My personal opinion on it is if you try this and you're not having results in a couple of weeks, you may want to switch to a rodenticide if you're able to do it there. And if not, manual mechanical traps are going to be your best friend. They're tried, they're tested, they're proven. We'd love to hear any comments or thoughts that anybody has with experience with this product or anything with rodent control in general. Put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.